Our 4-month anniversary tomorrow. It's crazy to know that we have over 9,000 members. We just crossed the 9,000 mark this morning. Thank you again for all being part of the group and sharing and laughing together with us. And we look forward to growing even more. I'm excited to hand this over or to introduce our host. She is a Filipino American that loves to share her culture through funny videos, memes, and content. Let's welcome Mary Grant.
Yay, thank you so much, you guys, for having me today. And, I just want to reiterate what Jason said. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And, like he said, there are over 9,000 participants now that are part of the group. So thank you so much for carving out a piece of your day to celebrate Filipino American History Month with us. And I would like to introduce our co-hosts that are doing the cooking demo. They're co-authors of the Filipino Instant Pot Cookbook. We have Tisha and Jorell. Domingo.
Hi.
Hey, Mary.
Hi. So let's go ahead and get started. Tell me about your cookbook.
What?
Okay, well, the cookbook came about, is it 2 years ago now? I'm losing track of time. Well, we launched the cookbook almost exactly a year ago. So it was the end of October last year. But a few mutual friends were all talking amongst themselves up in the Bay Area. They were members of our Filipino Instant Pot Recipes group on community on Facebook. And they saw that this growing community was really interested on how to cook Filipino recipes in the Instant Pot. So they were talking and they were saying like, hey, let's write a cookbook. So they knew we were the admins of the group, and they approached us and they said, hey, do you guys want to write a cookbook? And it was never our intention. And we thought like, oh, this would be fun. I mean, we have no experience doing it. We're all 6 of us are home cooks. We all have young children. I think our daughter's the eldest at 8 years old. The average age is 3 or 4 years old. So we were all writing it with toddlers running around the house. The funny thing is we never even met them till after the book launched because they were on the Bay Area. So everything was done over Google
Hangouts. And then from thinking about the recipes and figuring out what we want to do, to testing, to our weekly check-ins. As Tisha said, it's been a year since it launched officially. When it jumped onto, I think Amazon was the first place it launched. And the group itself, the Facebook group, started in February 2018. And we are at about 77,000, almost 78,000 folks from around the world. So that's been pretty cool. I can talk about that later too.
Okay, we can talk about the group later because this will take a little while to.
Yeah, I think what we wanted to do is get started here so we can get it cooking, and then we can definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I already have so many questions. I'm sure the people watching have so many questions.
All the answers.
But I know we got to get that food going because, especially, I'm mind blown. I had no idea that the Facebook group came first, and then the book. So it's like an amazing fruition of an idea, and you guys made it happen. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
So please tell me hopefully, we sent out the recipe and the ingredient list yesterday. So for those of you that are following along, if you are cooking as well, fantastic. We want to see that later. But tell us what you're cooking today.
Well, today we're going to make arroscaldo. Now that the weather is getting a little bit colder for SoCal, we thought this would be a good one.
It's like 95 degrees.
85, that's colder, yeah.
But, as cold weather comes upon us, it's great to make this dish when you just want something warm and comforting, and something if you have a bad cold, like your moms and lolas would make this for you because it's got ginger and onions and garlics, and it's super easy. Again, like I said, we were all the co-authors. We all have young children, so making things in this machine has been like a blessing because you'll see how easy it is, and there's even other ways you can even simplify this if you don't want to do a few other steps, and I can talk about that. So. Yep. So we're going to make arroscaldo, which is a rice porridge with chicken, ginger, onion, garlic, lots of aromatics, and it's very simple ingredients. But first we want to introduce the Instant Pot to some people who might not be familiar. I think when I posted about this, I know there's a lot of people that have it sitting in the box for like months. Yes.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Mary.
Yeah.
I'm so scared.
Us too. It was sitting on the counter for a few months before we touched it because we're too scared to use it. So now it's just like one of our everyday appliances. So let me go ahead and introduce it. So first of all, you've got an inner pot that always needs to be in here. I've heard stories of people just dumping stuff in here.
Oh my God.
Don't do that and just damaging your Instant Pot.
It's done.
So
it's done.
it's been done. Yeah. So
So-
that's
so,
why I
yeah.
always tell you, don't forget.
Take it
to
out,
put
put all your ingredients in.
Yeah.
Ideally when it's not in there.
Yeah.
Um,
You can, there's also a non-stick ceramic pot version. I've never bought it and didn't have a need for it, but some people like that.
Tisha, really quick, is there any way you can bring the mic closer?
Oh, sure.
oh yeah.
Maybe we can hear you a little better. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay.
If it's not getting in your way,
No,
awesome.
that's fine.
No,
yeah.
not at all.
So this is the lid of the Instant Pot. Inside, you'll see there's a sealing ring, and you always make sure that's installed and it's pushed in properly. Because if it's not pushed in properly, your pot will not come up to pressure. So it's going to just kind of like keep sizzling, and it's not going to come up to pressure. So
Okay.
you got that. You also have this little float valve. Can you see that? I think. So when it comes up to pressure, that will pop up, and that will tell you it's all the way up to pressure. And when that's popped up, do not open your Instant Pot because
Oh,
the pot's
I
full of
didn't know
pressure.
that.
Oh, didn't you use your Instant? You didn't notice it?
I used it once, but nothing popped up.
Oh, maybe it did and you didn't notice. Check next time. But yeah, don't open it.
Unless maybe one of the newer models don't
Yeah, it
have
could be-
something similar, or
Yeah.
it's done a
Or
little
it's like
differently.
not as noticeable, maybe.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. This one's like 3 years old, so
Yeah.
it's one of the it's probably the most popular model for sure. And
OG
it's one of the
status.
first ones. Yeah.
And then you've got your float, your sorry, not the float valve. That was the float valve. Then you've got your the trivet. Oh, the trivet comes with your Instant Pot. This is for other dishes. I use this when I make leche flan. I put a little pan in there with the leche flan, and then you can lift it out. When we make ribs, we make barbecue ribs, we lay them standing up in a ring, and it makes it easier to take it out. So this comes with your Instant Pot. So Jorell will go ahead and show you the other parts. Right there.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So all the buttons up front, we don't use most of them. They're kind of the average cook times for meat or rice or whatever. We'll typically just press meat and manual pressure, and then select the time like plus minus down below. I think Tisha talked about the valve and opening and closing it. Oh yeah. So this is the venting valve. You want to make sure it's closed when you cook, and that's what the pressure is what causes it to, what allows you to cook. So you want to make sure it's closed, and then after the fun is done, you open it up. You got to be really careful about that part, but you'll see that.
Steam is going to release, but we'll show you later.
Right, and then in order to cook, it uses the buildup of steam. So you got to make sure that there's enough water in there, at least a cup of water, depending on what you're
For the
cooking.
6 quart.
Yeah, unless you're cooking like a stew or something like that, then you're usually totally good. And then finally, there's a lid. There's different kinds of lids.
We bought that on Amazon.
If you want to simmer.
No.
So that's good for like nilaga, adobo, anything you want to simmer afterwards.
Or if you need to toss in some vegetables after the meat's done, you toss it in and let it cook.
But
through,
you don't need to have it, but it's nice to have. So,
yeah. It's definitely not as intimidating as the old school ones that sit on the stove that, they're just making a ton of noise. And I remember my mom trying to use or getting my dad to try to help, open the thing because it won't open. But this is a lot easier, and they've made it a lot more convenient for us. So,
okay.
But yeah, but there are different manufacturers for this. So Instant Pot's like the most well-known brand out there.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna start cooking. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat, and we'll try and answer them once we get this going. So I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the Instant Pot. I'm gonna hit pressure cook. Sorry. I'm gonna hit saute. I'll just set it at 10 minutes because it'll just need some time to set up. Jorell, I'm gonna have you. So in this recipe, I already kind of patted dry the chicken thighs. I think the recipe calls for a pound. You can use 1.5 pounds to 2 probably. It just depends on how much chicken you want. I'm gonna have them salt and pepper the chicken, but make sure they're dry. They don't have too much moisture. Sorry. I'm gonna get the onions, garlic, and the ginger.
I'm just gonna hydrate really quick while you guys are doing that.
So this is when you're fancy if you're using a pepper grinder.
Yeah, that is fancy.
We fancy.
All right, so I have a lot of time-saving tips because again, I have 2 kids and not a lot of time. So I got this from my mom. So Lola, she gives you a big jar of garlic, all chopped up with olive oil. That's always great to have.
Yes.
Whenever I chop up onion, if I have leftover or an extra onion, I chop it up and I freeze it. So whenever I'm cooking, it's ready to go and I don't have to chop it. Ginger is the same. I just slice it up and I have it ready to go. Or if you're really lazy, Trader Joe's has these garlic and ginger cubes
That's what I
already
use.
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. So I'm a big fan of anything to save time. So whenever, because I use lots of onion and garlic, and so it'll be good. So it's heating up. It'll just take a minute. So those are some little tricks that I have. So this stuff is always like, if you're making tinola, you can use this. You can use it for anything. So it's great to have.
Question for your ginger. Do you prefer big pieces or little pieces?
So that's a good question because the recipe actually calls for grated ginger.
Okay.
I prefer big pieces so that I can pick them out. And he always ends up with it in his atascado and he's like, I bit into
yeah.
ginger.
Yeah.
So
I like the flavor. I just don't like biting into it.
Yeah,
right?
it's like so spicy. What happened? Where did
Yeah,
that
so
come
it really depends. That's all personal, personal preference. So Yeah.
So this is just heating up for a second. Can you get the recipe? Because I'm not the type that likes to measure a lot, so I have to get the exact measurements for you.
where is it?
Me too. Especially I grew up and I'd ask my mom, I want to make your recipe. How do I do this? And she's like, a little bit of this and that. And I'm like,
yeah. Well, I
Okay.
think that's why this cookbook is really helpful because people have trouble learning from their parents sometimes. Like you have to sit down with your parents and actually watch them and then be like, okay, that looks like half a cup of onion or half, a tablespoon of patis or something. So, so this recipe calls for half a medium white onion. I'm just going to eyeball it. Like I said, I don't like to measure. You can hear that sizzling. There you go. Yeah, right there. And then this one calls for grated ginger. Like I said, I like to just use my ginger a little bit bigger. I'm going to throw in probably a little bit more.
So if you do have the book, at the beginning of each recipe, there's a little write-up, and that's whoever wrote that up is typically the person, or it is the person whose recipe that belongs to.
Oh yeah, so shout out to our co-author Romeo.
Right, so Romeo's the one. This is Romeo's recipe. We have our own little styles and whatnot, but that's one reason why we're still referring to the book because these are our own personal recipes. And just to be clear too, these are recipes like that we've done. These are ones from our families, from our friends,
or ones we experimented with.
Ones we've experimented with. We didn't pull them from people posting recipes on the page. Those are always, those are their recipes, and they differ slightly. They differ from region to region, which is really something that we love learning about, like different ways people cook.
Absolutely.
Typical dishes. So
all right, so if you're cooking along with us, we have 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We threw in half a cup of onion, about some ginger. The recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of grated ginger. I threw in, I don't know, tablespoon or so, a little more ginger. And then 5 cloves of garlic. I did a little bit less, so it's not as garlicky for my kids. So again, like I said, make it your own to your preferences and you're good. Can you put those in the fridge? So now I'm just gonna let this kind of sweat out for 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, it's done. I was just showing them. And then smells nice and oniony and garlicky and ginger. So one way, if you're lazy, you can just literally throw it all in and not even saute any of it because the pressure cooking just brings out so much flavor already. But if you want to spend a couple extra minutes, it doesn't even take that long though, then you can just go ahead and sweat it out for a few minutes.
it smells so
Yeah,
good.
I missed that part. Can you tell me so you have it on the saute setting right now?
Yes.
Oh, so saute, it just heats it up. You don't have to, it's not a timer or anything.
Yeah, but it'll set up a timer. So I just put 10 minutes because I know it'll take me about less than 10 minutes to prep this.
Okay.
But if the time runs out, make sure you turn it back on because it's gonna you'll lose heat. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add the chicken.
Okay.
I can smell it all. It smells delicious.
It smells so good.
And then you're gonna just kind of cook it for each side on 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Again, you don't have to. You could literally throw it all in the pot without sauteing anything and then just hit the button to pressure cook for 20 minutes.
Now I saw you did the ginger and the onion, which is a great tip. I'm seeing in some of the chat that,
Oh, good.
everybody's like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Like, duh.
I'm
So I
all
saw
about
you-
time saving.
Right? I'm like, man, I could just keep a bag in there all the time. Why didn't I think of that?
Like
I saw
sometimes
you threw that.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I saw you throw that in there frozen,
Yes.
and then the chicken is thawed.
The chicken
Do you recommend the chicken be thawed, or can it be frozen also?
Frozen or even partially frozen. I have not done it frozen, but it definitely can. Just when you're done, you can either do it for a couple extra minutes. When you're done, just check to see if it's cooked. If it's not, you can probably just hit saute mode and let it simmer for a few extra minutes, and it'll cook all the way through. So
Yeah, there are a lot of recipes where you can just dump frozen meat, whether it's chicken or pork or beef.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I
we
prefer
prefer it
to thaw
to
it,
not
yeah.
be, because
Yeah.
you season the food too, because you really get the flavor in there. But if you're really pressed for time, you can just dump and forget for a lot of the dishes in the Instant Pot too.
Yeah.
Not just Filipino dishes, but you can do spaghetti, ribs, anything like that. You just dump it and forget. So
okay.
letting the onions and garlic sweat is really just to bring more of the flavor out. So.
Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and add, so it's 3 cups of water and 3 cups of chicken broth. So this is another one of my favorite products ever. It's better than bouillon chicken.
Oh yes, it's like a paste.
Yes. So you don't
Yeah.
have to carry like those big boxes of chicken broth. Like you just need this in your refrigerator. And I got this from Costco. I think I've had this since May and I use it a lot. So I'm actually about to run out. So so I just put 6 cups of water, and I think it's 1 teaspoon for a cup of water. So I just need 3 teaspoons of this to make it 3 cups of chicken broth.
Got it.
So we'll go ahead and add all this water in. Oh,
And
I
quick
forgot-
question, we had another question. Can you use ground ginger as well?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what the recipe actually calls for. I just use bigger pieces.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
So I'm gonna have Jorell. I forgot the rice in the arroz caldo. So this is one important thing. If your onions and garlic are browning and there's little bits stuck to the bottom of your pan, make sure you scrape it off once you throw in all the liquid. Can you get the rice, Jorell? Because if there's little brown bits stuck at the bottom and it's burning while it's cooking, you're gonna get a burn notice and it's gonna stop trying to pressure cook.
Oh,
So whenever you're cooking anything, make sure there's nothing stuck at the bottom.
got it.
So that way you don't get the burn notice, because it's always a bummer when you get a burn notice, but it happens to everybody. So Jorell will measure 1 cup of white rice.
Have we tried brown rice with this? I'm just asking. We have. With our
Oh,
salad?
yeah, my mom does a mixture of brown and white rice. I wonder.
That's what I'm doing.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a huge fan of brown rice. Can you tell?
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe a third brown
Yeah.
rice.
So I do a third brown. So we did 1 cup of regular white rice. The recipe calls for 1 cup of rice. Oh, I need that still. And then I actually add a half cup of brown rice. But if you like your saucier, you can always add more chicken broth towards the end.
Got it. And you're doing 1 cup of rice total for the whole pot.
For mine, I'm doing 1.5 cups of rice total.
1.5 total, whatever mixture you prefer.
Yeah, but the recipe in the book actually does 1 cup rice total. This is just another one of my alterations
Got it.
because I want a little bit more rice with mine.
Yeah, I do prefer like a thicker,
Porridge.
almost chewy. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
a good porridge.
Me
Yeah.
too, yeah. But if you like it soupier, again, you can always add more chicken broth after it's cooked, and that's totally cool. So did this?
Oh, somebody put in the comments that their mom put sweet rice.
Oh, you know what? I think Jorell's mom does that, and it's really yummy.
That
Maybe that's why my
Was
daughter
it my
likes
mom?
it. Yeah, that was when we were in New York. I think that's why my daughter liked it so much. She's probably like,
Oh.
Okay, so I think we got everything in that we got. Oh, 3 tablespoons of patis. Again, I don't measure.
Oh yeah.
I probably just put 2.
That was a recent post. Like
because
people
of
were
the
like,
kids.
"Oh, what brand of patis do you
I know
guys
normally
use?"
I use the Filipino brands, but I'm just trying Red Boat for the first time because
It-
a lot of people told me it's really good.
yeah, that's something
Usually-
people fight about.
Which brand do we usually use? I forget. Okay, so that beeping noise is telling me that the 10 minutes is up on sauteing, which is perfect because we're now done cooking. So let's make sure you guys can see this. So now we're gonna put the lid on. Sorry, it's a little backwards for me. and you're gonna turn it so it's locked. Make sure it's locked, and then make sure the sealing valve is on sealing. And then we're gonna hit pressure cook. And you're gonna hit pressure cook, and you're gonna do it to 20 minutes. I'm probably gonna do ours a little bit faster just because it's gonna take some time to cook, just for TV purposes, so for internet purposes. So that's gonna go ahead and come up to pressure. It's gonna take about 15 minutes until this little valve is gonna pop up. If you can see it, hopefully.
Oh, so it pops up on its own.
It's gonna pop up. It's on its own. You're gonna see a little bit of steam coming up, and we'll show you. So
that tells you that that's when the countdown of the actual cooking starts. So.
Yeah, so this thing will pop up, and then the timer here, a couple minutes after this pops up, it'll start counting down.
Got it.
Well, yeah, we'll point that out to you guys once that starts. So like I said, it took, I think we set it at 10 minutes, so it took 10 minutes to prep. But again, if you just dumped it all in, it'd take like less than that.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Cool. I didn't see the overhead camera, but did you like brown the chicken, or you just cook it a little bit?
I just cooked it a little bit. I don't think you need to brown it as much because there's no skin on it, but you can brown. I just cooked it a little bit.
I think that's also a personal preference too. Like a lot of people will brown the meat in their adobo first before cooking, or even afterwards. So personal preference. I think it gives it a lot of good flavor. So as far as the cook time, that's a common question. You'll see a lot of recipes that say, you can cook this in 20 minutes. It's cooking for 20 minutes, but it takes some time for the pressure to build up. Depending on how much liquid you have in there. If you have a lot of liquid and it's room temp, or it's even cold, or the meat's cold, it takes longer for it to come to pressure.
Yeah, so the cooking time is 20 minutes, but like I said, it takes 15 minutes to come to pressure. So that's 15 plus 20. And then in the recipe, it's another 10 minutes for it to just like sit that way. So it's actually 30, 40, about 45 minutes. But the beauty is, now I can go clean the house or watch TV or do whatever I need to do. So that's the thing that I love about this machine. I don't have to hover over a stove and check on it and stuff. So that's kind of the magic of it. We have a couple like FAQs we wanted to just help people with if they're not familiar with the Instant Pot.
Okay.
So
yes, please. We are getting some questions about
feel free.
sticks. Yeah, I'm just as emerged as, when do you push what? Yeah. Please.
Cool. Yeah, feel free to just ask us, but Jorell and I will go through a couple of those, and then we can address whatever we've missed.
Yeah. So the first thing I talked about was the cook time. It takes, you gotta take into account the time it takes for it to come to pressure, as well as the time for it to release pressure. So that's another popular question. What's QR and what's NPR? QR is quick release. So when it's done, when the timer is done and it'll beep, some recipes call for you to just open the valve up right away. That's called a quick release. And then the other is called NPR, is natural pressure release, where you just let the thing sit and naturally slowly release pressure. There's different schools of thought. Some people say, oh, if you do quick release for some meats, it pulls out the moisture.
And it makes it dry.
It makes it dry. I don't know how true that is, but we've typically stuck with, whatever the recipe calls for.
This recipe is going to do 10-minute natural release. So you'll see the timer end, and then we'll wait another 10 minutes before we release it. And since there's a lot of liquid, that's always good, because if it's really full, it starts shooting a little bit of liquid out and can get messy.
That's a lot of fun.
One of the first times I think I made like nilaga or something, I should have pointed that out. In your inner pot, there's a line that says like max fill or something. Like, don't put liquid past that line, because if you do, when you release the pressure, it's gonna spray. Like, I had soup like flying everywhere.
That's crazy. Top. Yeah. You're throwing towels on there. You're trying to release the pressure. Yeah. I mean, the whole kitchen's just a mess.
Yeah.
We try not to cook on top of the stove. Some people do. Well, we do sometimes move it to the stove when we release the pressure, because when the steam's coming out, you don't want it under your kitchen cupboards, because if you keep putting it there, eventually you're going to have warped wood in the cabinets and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Moisture,
Yeah, but also if you like do it over your stove as well. I know people who've done it over their stove and then accidentally turned the burner on and like burnt the bottom of their. Yeah, so that's another, and that's happened to real people. Like, we're giving you like people we know.
It happens a lot. That and the pouring liquid into the into the pot without the liner.
Yeah.
Those are probably
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
yeah, for
So
sure.
another thing, so in our cookbook, there's a few recipes, and we get this question all the time, is the recipe says pressure cook for 0 minutes. And they're like, what does that mean? So basically, when you're setting it for 0 minutes, remember we said that the thing has to come up to pressure first, and then it counts down the time. So basically what it's going to do is if it's 0 minutes pressure cook, it's going to come up to pressure. And once it comes up to pressure, it turns off. So that's like your timer. So the food actually cooks while it's coming up to pressure. So for dishes that might have like a lot of vegetables, like just vegetables, no meat, it's going to be 0 minutes because you don't want to overcook and have like mushy vegetables at the end. So it's actually cooking. And there are meat dishes that like
Seafood, a lot of seafood dishes.
Seafood dishes. I think
seafood cooks really fast.
the sinigang with shrimp is, I think, 0 minutes or 1 minute because you don't need it to really cook that long. So that's 0 minutes pressure cook is not a mistake in the cookbook.
Rice. We get that question all the time. Can you cook rice in the Instant Pot? And the answer is yes, you can. But we don't do it.
We like our
we use our old school.
cooker
We use
still.
our. I think I have a rice cooker that
Old Faithful. Yeah.
I had in college that's still working. It's a 3-cup, but yes, you can. It's actually really good with brown rice because it gets it a lot
more moist.
more
Yeah.
moist
So I
and
like to
soft.
cook. I cook big batches of brown rice in there. And again, I also freeze that so then I don't have to do it because I'm the only one that will just eat plain brown rice.
Right.
So
I think the cleaning up the
rice
at the bottom using this to me is it's kind of a pain.
Oh yeah.
That's probably one reason.
Yeah, and people will ask us like, oh, should I just get rid of my rice cooker? I'm like, if you have one, keep your rice cooker.
Yeah, I would keep it.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah,
you
because you're doing both.
unless you need the space. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do have a 3-quart that Tisha will also use for
I'll
cooking.
make a lot of soups. You can make yogurt in the Instant Pot. That's the only other button I think I've used is yogurt. I made that a long time ago, but it's like you get highly pasteurized milk or something. I forget how it was, but like all you do is hit the yogurt button and then like it's 8 hours later or whatever, it's like done. But
Oh wow.
I should do that again. I added like calamansi and honey on it. I was like,
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Yeah. Wow.
I think those are all the FAQs we had. Are there any questions in the
what's it called? The desserts. There's a lot of questions. Can you do desserts in the Instant Pot? And the answer is yes, you can.
I heard you say you leche flan.
Yeah, leche flan. That's my favorite that we do and that Tisha does in the Instant Pot.
That we do.
That we do. that I eat. That she does. That I eat. That's probably one of the easier ones. Puto, a lot of people do, even though they'll say, oh, the consistency is a little different, but it tastes.
Yeah, if you do
the flavor's
cake
the
in
same.
here, it comes out a little bit more dense. But I've seen people like use it and they put a bamboo steamer on top. And so you can actually close it and it just sits on top if you get the right size. And it just steams it like you would do over the stove. So, I forgot to mention, so you can buy extra sealing rings that go in the lid. So if you are doing desserts and other savory dishes, like we use one for desserts and one for savory. So then the leche flan doesn't taste like sinigang or
Yeah.
I mean, you can smell it. So throwing it in the dishwasher doesn't help. Some people say, oh, if you leave it out in the sun, it'll get rid of the smell, but just buy another one.
Yeah.
You're so cheap.
then,
Ooh, I like that. I see that on my Pinterest all day long.
so
I need that.
this is really popular because people like make those Starbucks egg bites in these, and you can make them in the Instant Pot. It's a really popular recipe. So when we were writing the cookbook, I made puto in here. So we put this on top of a metal trivet that it comes with, and you just set it on top, and then you put the batter in, and close it, and you steam it, and it cooks. I made mini embutidos in here, so little individually sized embutidos. You can make meatloaf. You can make tons of stuff in these. These are great.
With no raisins, right?
No, I put a little bit of raisin. I don't.
No raisins for me.
I know. I'm
I'm not a
raisin
raisin fan.
I agree.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe as I get older, I'll eat them.
Yeah. So embutidos are a really cool recipe that like I never made for the first time, and then I made it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so much easier than I thought. Like it's
so much easier.
Yeah. And of course, like if you make a few, then you just put them in the freezer and you can save them for later.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have a couple quick questions.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I know earlier you were saying I'm really slow with this. Okay, so you have to spell it out for me. When so we sauteed the meats and the veggies, and then when you poured the liquid in, clarify, like, what do we put we close the lid and then put the timer, or when does the time start?
Okay,
Like,
so
button. And then you change the setting. Did you change the setting off of saute to something else?
yes, that's a good question. So in this case, I think it ended on its own, but if it was still on saute, you would hit cancel. So we had all the onions, garlic, chicken broth, scrape the bottom to make sure there's no burnt bits. Then we put the lid in, we locked it. Then you hit cancel, and then you hit pressure cook or manual. So depending on your manual or your model, you'll hit pressure cook or manual. And then you set it for 20 minutes on your Instant Pot. So this is
and you said the 20 minutes will, so it'll get it up to pressure, and then it'll know, and then that's when the 20 minutes start.
So it's counting down, yes.
Got
so we haven't even started cooking yet. It hasn't started. So it does take a while. Like I said, it takes about 10 or 15 minutes for it to come to pressure. I can feel that it's hot, but it hasn't actually started the countdown yet. So it's not fully up to pressure, and the valve is still down, if you can see it.
And when you, in this recipe, when it gets up to pressure, is it an N, is it a QR or an NR?
NPR.
Yeah, NR. Yeah, NR or NPR. This is an NR, natural release.
Okay.
So once the countdown goes to 0, then it's going to start counting up. So that's actually like, yeah. So you'll see the little buttons change on here. I'll try and show you later. And so once it starts counting up, then it'll go up to 10 minutes, and then you're going to release the pressure.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I totally did mine wrong then.
How did you do? What did you do?
I think it just was like slow cooker. Like there was nothing that changed. It didn't get to pressure. There was no countdown.
What did you make though?
I had leftover crispy pata. So I made adobo out of it. So I sauteed it, and then the time went off, and then I think I just hit cook. So then it was just like a slow cooker. I mean, it was still good.
Okay. All right, cool. So did you even lock the lid?
I have no idea.
All right, well, you're gonna have to try it.
It doesn't matter. How did it taste?
Yeah.
Did it
When
taste
I
good?
tried it, I was like, well, there's no air coming out. And then I know it says be careful when you release so you don't like burn your hand.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you see it? It's starting to like steam is starting to come out of here. I don't know if you can see it. So I can hear it sizzling now. And then eventually that's gonna, it's like moving. I don't know if you can see it.
It's starting to pop up.
So it'll pop up soon.
Awesome.
I can't hold it. I don't want to move it.
Oh, and you can smell it.
Okay, so this one, it's a hybrid then. So when it gets up to pressure, it's going to be a natural countdown. And then
up to pressure, then it'll start cooking for 20 minutes.
Okay.
That gets down to 0, then it'll start counting up, and it's releasing pressure. It's still cooking though, right?
Okay, so
okay. So the pressure doesn't release until the cooking is down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So the little valve just popped up. I don't know if you can see it, but it popped up. So any minute you're going to hear this beep, and then it's going to start counting down. So
okay.
it's getting there, and it's getting very hot. So you just have to be careful.
Yes. And for those of you watching, I know we have our Zoom, and also it's streaming on Facebook. We will definitely repost this because I know myself, I'm going to have to watch it again. So you can keep watching it, to jot down your little notes and stuff. And if you guys that are watching, if you have any questions, also, we're monitoring the Facebook chats, we're monitoring the Zoom chats. Please feel free to ask questions. I know one question people are dying to know: where did you get your shirts?
So my really good friend Michelle, who is married to our wedding DJ, she posted these shirts like a couple weeks ago, and I was like wanting to get shirts for us to wear for our demo. And at the time, the Lakers, I think, were just starting the finals. So I was like, oh man. So I was like, I just placed my order. I wasn't saying like if the Lakers win the championship, because I'm not gonna jinx it. So I just placed my order with this in mind, and she's making them custom. So I think at the end of the event, I'll post in the Facebook event page and on the Facebook page if anyone wants to order. She's taking pre-orders till October 31st, but her Instagram is made by _Lolako, LOLAKO.
And then we'll post that. Somebody will post that in the chat and Facebook chat.
So this was like perfect for SoCal Filipino American History Month
Go
cooking demo
Lakers.
and food. Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
pretty excited.
Yeah, I love it, especially because Filipinos love basketball to begin with. And then there's so many like Filipinos in California that love the Lakers. And then it just is perfect that we have purple and gold or yellow food.
Red and gold.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Too bad the Lakers got rid of their one Filipino player, Jordan Clarkson.
I know. I was
It's all
like,
good, though.
even though he was rookie of the year, they were like, all right, bye, Jordan.
And then we beat the Filipino coach.
Oh yeah, Spoelstra, who looks
You're
like Tisha's
right.
brother actually. Tisha's brother could go somewhere out in the East Coast or in the Midwest and say he's Eric Spoelstra, and his name is Eric too. What's up, Eric? He's tall, he's like 6 foot, and he can say he coaches in Miami Heat, and people would believe him. So, but yeah, so we're just waiting for that to cook. Oh, who's this?
You want to say hi? Okay, this is our little guy. Say hi, Bruno. Say hi.
Captain America in the
This is
house.
Bruno.
Bye.
What's up, Bruno? Go, get out of here.
He can smell the ginger and the onion.
Oh, and speaking of Filipino American History Month, he's taking Tagalog classes. Both my kids are through Tagalog Kids, which is pretty awesome. So even though we're in this weird COVID life right now, like it's great that anybody anywhere can take these Tagalog classes. So my kids are both taking Tagalog classes through Tagalog Kids, and I posted it on the Facebook page.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty fun now that they're practicing with their Lolos and Lolas. Yes.
Go.
You can have a snack. Yes. Hold on.
What's it called? So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Facebook group too. So that started. So what happened was we had the Instant Pot, this exact one. This is actually Tisha's mom's. It was sitting in our office for at least a few months. Hadn't touched it. I was working from home one day and I was like, all right, let me just try this out. I pulled it out. I YouTubed some videos. I found a garlic honey rib recipe, I think. I was like, it's garlic and it's honey and it's ribs. So, all right, let me try that out. Threw it in there. It was really good. I told Tish, I'm like, okay, let's start using this. Looked up some other recipes. I looked up some Filipino recipes, and I mean, you can find a few here and there that were online, which is cool. They were helpful. There's a lot more now these days. And on Facebook, I found different recipe groups for like Italian food, Korean, Vietnamese food. Like the Korean one had like 20,000 people. The Hawaiian one, which has a lot of crossover
Did
dishes.
this just start? I think I just heard it beep.
Just beep.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna, yeah. So it's gonna start counting down. We're at 26. Whoa!
Whoa.
Yeah. Be careful when you
Yeah.
move it.
Don't move it. Don't move it when it's cooking.
All the
So
I'm trying to fix it. Okay.
So I found these Facebook groups that people were sharing different Instant Pot recipes for other cuisines, and I was like, all right, is there a Filipino one? There was one. It was like probably 6 friends, I think, that had started it, and there was no there was no activity on it. So I was like, hey, should we start one? So we did, and we slowly started adding people. We initially added a bunch of friends, a bunch of people we went to college with, and those were like probably the first 100 people, maybe 50 or 60 were friends, and family, of course. You're like, Tita, share this page with me and check this out. And they're like, I don't use that. I'm old school or whatever. But
so
anyway,
at this point, when you first started the group, at this point,
yeah,
you have 70,000+ now, and you only have 100, half of your friends.
Yeah.
At this point, what was your goal for the group? When you created it, why?
So one, to just have a resource for us to have recipes, and we started loving this appliance or whatever, and then 2, for me at least, well actually 2, and then the third reason is really because of the book. So 2, no, I lost my train of thought. The book. Tisha's smile just totally distracted me.
Oh, how cute!
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Okay.
No, at this point, what was the goal of the group? Just to share recipes or gather recipes?
And learn. Like I
Oh,
think
yeah,
I
I
was
know,
discovering
I know.
dishes I'd never seen before, because I just knew pretty much the main.
So I think, and this has been discussed over and over again, but just seeing more Filipino food hit kind of mainstream America, or have more people know about it, right? We're the second largest Asian American group in the United States after Chinese. If you count South Indian, we're the third largest, but there are more Filipinos than Vietnamese and Thai and Japanese and Korean, but you see way more restaurants in town that are any of those four.
Oh yeah.
You see, huge populations of food, and not just Koreans eating Korean food, but you see a lot more folks of all races and Koreans eating Korean food and Thai and Chinese food. Thai food.
More other ethnicities. It's like a staple. I feel like we're finally getting to the point where non-Filipinos are like, oh, I'm craving Filipino food.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the only time you'd hear like non-Filipinos know about it is they're like, oh, my best friend's Filipino, or I went to a Filipino party. It wasn't like I've been to a restaurant. It's like they only experienced it at parties, right? Yeah. So that was kind of their frame of reference.
So around this time, just the last few years, we've had a lot of friends, like our friend AJ, who I think working on the Lumpia movie. What's up, AJ?
Yeah.
He was always helping with pop-ups and all this stuff, and we see a lot of restaurants in LA and the Bay Area and across the country. One of the most popular restaurants, I think, in DC is a Filipino restaurant. People are lining up like hours before they open every day. So being part of kind of the Filipino food movement and sharing our food and our culture was a huge part. Actually, the more I thought about the reach of the group and of Facebook, that was really, I think, where I was like, man, we can really make a difference and get people to learn about this. The Korean page, I think at the time, had like 10 or 15,000 people. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of folks. And funny enough, the person who runs that lives like 3 miles from that. Like, I messaged her one day. I was like, hey, I have some questions about running this group. And then I looked at her profile. She's from Orange County here in Southern California. And then suddenly we're like, we live like 2 miles from each other. So we met up, and she's great. You check out the Korean page too. I'm getting all these shout outs, but yeah, a big part of the group, I think, is learning and sharing, the great food and the great culture. Because you hear that all the time. People are like, oh, I was exposed to this, and they always love, non-Filipinos will say, lumpia, right?
Yep.
And pancit.
Adobo.
Those are kind of like the three main things, but there's so much more.
Yeah, like from the group, it was just interesting to just learn about all the different versions of adobo. I was like, adobo with coconut milk? Like, what is this? And we have like 5 different adobo recipes in our cookbook. And I tried that one and I was like, oh, I love anything with coconut milk, and it's just delicious. And like, I think now, like, since we did this cookbook, we get a lot of messages from people in the group or people who just bought the cookbook. And then they're like, oh, my mom or my Lola passed away 5 or 10 years ago. I never learned how to cook these dishes. And these dishes remind me of her. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's like so powerful and amazing. And like, and like, that's the one takeaway, I think, is like, learn from your elders and your aunts and your uncles, those recipes. Cause that's, once they're gone, like it's so sad that you want to preserve that part of your culture and your family history. So
absolutely. And especially now, we are FAHM, Filipino American. There are a lot of FAHMs that haven't been to the Philippines or were born and raised in the US. So I feel like I'm so happy that the culture of our Filipino food movement has changed, where, let's be real, 10 years ago, the moms or aunties would be like, if there was one Filipino restaurant that you could go to, they're always like, oh, I cook it so much better. It's so
of course. Yeah.
And it's like, well, you didn't cook it, so support. But I feel like, especially our generation that's coming up and we're being so supportive, like now I love seeing, there's not one staple adobo. There's not one staple recipe for pancit. It's, take the flavors from your mom, your apu, your Lola, the flavors, we're not going to have the same spices in the Philippines either. So it's like taking that profile and making it your own. I think as long as it's continuing and our Filipino movement is continuing to grow, then like we're all winning, right?
Yeah. It's funny because people, when the cookbook first came out, people would be like, oh, but are the recipes authentic? And I'm like, well, they're authentic to my family. Like yours might be a little different, but like like, what does that
Like,
mean?
I'm a real Filipino, so it is authentic. Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like someone would post something like, oh, I throw potatoes in my adobo, and they're like, people are like, oh my gosh,
They like go
that's
crazy.
not adobo. And they're like, well, in my parents' province, everyone in this village cooks it with potatoes. So who are you going to say that it's not adobo or whatever?
Exactly. It's like regional. Same
yeah.
thing here. The States, the way people make macaroni and cheese
Hamburgers.
can be different. Yeah. And then in the South, exactly. Oh, really quick. Douglas Martinez wanted to say hi.
Oh, hey, what's
Doug,
up, Doug?
What's up?
Go Bruins.
we're continuing with the shout outs.
Now I know what it feels like to be on the other side. Like we're always watching like someone on Twitch and some of the DJ friends and
We're
stuff.
like, oh, we
and-
got a shout out.
Oh, we got a shout out.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
shout out to Cerritos All Stars because they're always giving us plugs for our cookbook on their little DJ sets. It's hilarious.
Oh,
Like,
awesome.
that's not why I'm here. I'm just listening to good music. But shout out to Cerritos All Stars.
And I know people have been asking where can they get the book. You can get it on Amazon. You can get that little egg muffin to make your embutidos. You can get that on Amazon. We'll post
Yeah.
and stuff.
You can get the book at Barnes and Noble, Target.com.
Pretty much most
Yeah.
online places you can order. Yeah, Target, Walmart, like Tisha said, Amazon.
What's the bookstore in Pasadena?
If you can get it at a local shop,
Support your
support your
small-
local
Yeah.
bookstores. There's a great shop in Pasadena called Romans, a great bookstore. They don't have it in stock, but they can
They
order
can
it.
order it for you. Philippine Expressions Bookshop in San Pedro.
Oh, that's a great shop if you've
They
never
have,
been
they
there.
might have signed copies of our book, but yeah, check out that shop. That's like little bookshop just full of history books. and-
Actually, we have we have copies too. I
yeah, we
forgot.
have copies too. So I can post, like, if you want a signed copy, we can post that on the Facebook
Right.
page as well. And
But it'd
contact
only
us
be the
that
two
way.
of us. There's actually 6 of us
Yeah.
that were co-authors of the book. The other 4 know each other. They have their own circles, their own circle of friends, and we have mutual friend. We knew a couple of them before, just like we had started talking about earlier on, and approached us about doing the book when we figured that here we have this growing group, and at that time we had probably, I don't know, like 6,000 members or something like that. We hit 10,000 as we were writing the book.
Yeah. So
And
we
I
Yeah, I
thought-
was wondering, that was my question. So when you started it 2018,
February, yep.
February, and it started off,
2019. Oh, wait, no, the book.
The
The group.
the group.
Yeah, yeah.
The
yeah,
group.
the group. So how long from when you started the group, how long until you guys were like, hey, maybe we should write a book? And then and I know you said the book came out, what, a year ago?
Yeah. So I guess it was end of 2018.
So end of 2018, there was some talk
Yeah.
about maybe doing a book, and we were like, we're not trained chefs, and
we're working. Yeah.
we're both working. We're not professionals by any means or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, my specialty is like corned beef omelets on Saturdays with some fried rice and whatever. But
So then early 2019,
Early
I think, is
2019.
when they first approached us. And then in
April.
April, we had our first Google Hangout meeting.
right.
Oh, wow.
And the goal was to get to over 100 recipes. And we're like, we don't even know 100 Filipino
I don't know
dishes.
how.
So that was like the first order of business was like, let's see how many recipes we know. So we were like researching, putting things
Wow.
in, and like there were of course things I'd never heard of. And then by May we started cooking and we divided up all the recipes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so then May we started cooking and writing, and then by August, September, I think we were now in like the edit mode, and then we
Super
launched
edit mode.
October because we wanted to get it out in time for the holiday. So
Wow.
yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to a friend and he was like, oh man, he's like, when your cookbook came out last Christmas, he was like, it was like the hot item at our Christmas parties, at our family parties. And his cousin also texted him and like, oh my God, everyone's fighting over it for their white elephant gift. They were like, this is
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy. It really was. We were trying to get it out, before Black Friday. And we did. There was a printing snafu where people weren't able to get the book. So for about a week or two, they were like,
it was
I
like
can't
sold
find-
out.
Yeah, it was like
everywhere.
building this hype, and it wasn't done on purpose too. At first, it was like, okay, there's this hype building, that's cool. But after a few days, it was like,
People were like
oh
panicking.
man, people
They
are
couldn't get
pissed.
the
They can't get
book.
the book, or it says it's going to deliver it like after Christmas or whatever. But once stocks start coming back, then it started doing pretty well. I mean, at one point we were like the number. Oh, did that turn off?
Yeah,
Oh no. Okay.
we'll fix
turn
that.
The numbers I don't know,
How
six
many minutes
Southeast
are we at?
Asian,
I
no,
don't wanna move it.
Southeast
I think
Asian
it's like-
cooking book.
9 minutes, 9 or 8
9
minutes.
minutes? Okay, so I'm gonna, normally that would count down all the way. Just for our purposes, I'm gonna hit cancel. Or should I? Or should I just let it go? We could just let it go, I
No,
guess.
fine.
Let it go. We already got
Okay.
some questions. We got a lot of questions.
Okay, yeah, we'll just let it go further.
All right, this is still on, right? All right, I'm gonna stick this back here.
Oh, is that your camera?
This
Yeah,
is
the
a
overhead camera.
overhead cam.
Yeah.
All
See, everybody in the chat, they're saying, let it go, let it
right.
Yes.
So-
Okay, so question. I know you said that you have 5 adobo recipes.
Uh-huh.
What about pancit? Can you cook pancit in there?
Yes, we do have a palabok recipe. I didn't do those ones. Sorry, I forget. There's a palabok, pancit canton, and you can even do spaghetti in this thing.
Oh, Filipino
yeah,
spaghetti.
yeah. So yeah, those are the 3 main noodle dishes. We've done sotanghon, sopas. Oh, now I'm getting hungry. Yeah. I learned how to do a lot of desserts for this cookbook. That was really fun.
So the one thing that you really can't do is deep fry in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Don't fill it with oil. Don't fill it with like 6 cups of oil and try to fry some lumpia. There is an air fryer attachment that you could throw on top that does that, but throw it in a frying pan or use your air fryer or whatever. But pretty much a lot of other things. I mean, we found that people are doing different cakes. There's a lady on our group who does the leche flan cake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Nelly, give her a shot. She's out in Philadelphia or something like that. And
Yeah.
earlier on, she was posting a lot of great recipes.
Yeah,
so,
she's got a really nice blog.
yeah.
full of recipes.
Yeah. By the way, if you're looking for a recipe, use the search bar in the group, and you'll find
Oh, cool. Yeah.
recipes.
Yeah, people
Right.
are always like, where do I get this recipe? I'm like, there's a search bar. So just like search on our Facebook page if you're looking
Right.
for. But if you put adobo, like I don't know how many
Yeah.
recipes will come up.
And we definitely try to tell people to give credit for the recipe, whether it's a blog,
Yeah.
a book, or if they post their own recipe. That's so awesome to see. We don't allow people to like post pictures of the actual book, whether it's ours or anyone else's, because copyright issues and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
What about, how about tell me your top 3 recipes, your favorite recipes that if you had all the ingredients right now, what would you make?
Oh my gosh. Well, you
easy.
could go.
Sinigang, pork adobo. I mean, they're pretty straight up. Sinigang, pork adobo, and leche flan.
Gosh, those are
So
so.
for your sinigang, do you use the powder or do you use the real tamarind?
I still use the powder, but I bought paste and I still haven't used it. It's sitting, I think, in my fridge.
Oh yeah, people are always asking where they can get real
Yeah, that's
fresh
tough.
tamarind.
Yeah.
Go to a Mexican supermarket. Will have it.
Oh, true. They eat a lot of tamarindo. Yeah, that's
They
true.
totally put that in a lot of dishes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so one of my other favorite recipes that's not in the book is just cooking ribs, right? So you can cook a rack of ribs in like 20 minutes cook time, and this is like fall off the bone short ribs. So you could do that, barbecue sauce, whatever. But what I like to do is sprinkle the sinigang mix, as a dry rub.
Yes.
This is
you could do
good.
it before. Okay. So my recipe: take some ribs, peel the little skin
The
off,
membrane.
salt and pepper,
Yeah.
throw it in there for like 21 minutes. Put some liquid smoke just to get some of that flavor. Let it cook through. When it's done, put some sinigang mix and throw it on the grill or throw it in
It's
under your broiler,
Oh,
and it's like ribs but sinigang. Oh, it's
delicious.
it's
yeah.
it's a
At
party
first,
pleaser.
I was like, am I gonna miss the soup and all the veggies? But
No.
now I'm like hooked
It's-
on it.
yeah.
Our 8-year-old loves it. We made it for Father's Day, and my brother, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good."
I
Yeah,
bring
'cause
it.
I do love the mix because I just love the salty,
The MSG.
sugary- Yeah, like I put the mix. I put it on popcorn, like French fries,
Oh my!
Oh no!
wings.
I've
Yeah,
been wanting to do chicken wings with it. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it makes yeah.
Yeah, but ribs are so easy here. 20, a rack of short
I'm gonna
ribs.
write that on my notes. Ribs must make ribs tonight.
Season, throw it in there about between 19 to 20. You don't want to do it too much because then it crumbles on you. It's awesome that you can pull the
Oh,
rib,
yeah.
the bone off, but and people are like, oh, I'm old school. I like to smoke them. I'm like, I don't have 4 hours to sit.
Right. Yeah. Okay, another question. So I know you said you made, what was it? It was like a bread, not embutido, but I want to know, have you or can you make siopao in there?
I've seen people do it. There's
Yes.
somebody posted last week, I think, on our Facebook group.
Oh, cool.
Mel Lee also has a good
Yeah,
siopao
but somebody
recipe.
just did post it last week. But yeah, you can definitely make it. I've not tried it.
Yeah, check out our Facebook group has it. So if you search for siopao, it'll pop
I
up.
think not that I've made it before, but I think the drawback though is you have very limited space in this thing.
Oh, true.
Right? You can only probably put 2 or 3 siopao at a time. So I don't know, but yeah.
There is a 10.
You can get like the 10 or 12 quart
Yeah.
Instant Pot.
But even then, if you have the room on your stove for a big pot to just steam it,
But I bet I've seen my aunt make the filling for it. She did it in a pressure cooker, so you could definitely make the meat and the beef and sauce. Oh, she makes my aunt from Colorado makes the best siopao, and she brings it when she travels here.
Yeah, I love siopao, but the breading and like the steaming the bun, it's just so intimidating. And like, I know me and my cousins, we've all tried, and either it's like all breading or it's like they get up to be huge, or it's just.
So another thing one of our friends likes doing in here is cooking tocino. So he'll wrap it. Roy.
Oh.
What's up, Roy? I don't know if he's on here, but he throws, because it makes it easier to clean, right? He'll throw it in there. I don't know how long he cooks the tocino or whatever. Cooks it under pressure, and then I think he has the air fryer. Maybe you just throw it on there, but it's a lot easier to clean up and all this.
Yeah.
Cleaning tocino off your frying pan is.
I've ruined maybe 2 frying pans.
We don't have an air fryer yet because we have a turbo broiler.
Oh, we have our old school turbo from our wedding. It's probably our most used wedding gift.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with my air fryer, and now I feel like I have a little bit more understanding of the Instant Pot. So
yeah, you should try. One of my favorite things to make in here is lechon kawali. So you can boil the meat in here. I think you put the meat on the trivet. You put the meat on the trivet, but you have like a cup of water, liquid. So then it just makes it super tender. Then you dry it out for a couple of hours, and then you can pop that thing in the air fryer, and it's delicious. Yeah. But I did it in the turbo broiler. So that stuff is really good.
So you're not necessarily deep frying all the time. Trying to. We do offer like some healthier options in here. But I'm gonna cut myself off and let Tisha talk about why it's beeping.
Okay, so the countdown ended, right? It should say 0, right? Yeah. So now you're gonna see it count up to, now it's 10 minutes natural release. So we're gonna let it count up to 10. We might just let it count up to 5, and then I'll let you guys, and I'll show you how to release it. But that's pretty much what's gonna happen. So I don't know if you can see the icons, but they've changed a little bit. Let me see. I didn't even pay attention to the icons before, but yeah, so that just tells you, that little temperature thing tells you that it's done pressure cooking and it's going to count up. So what I do sometimes, so say there was still 5 minutes left of pressure cooking, Mary, what I would do is if I know it's 5 more minutes of pressure cook and then 10 minutes natural release, what I'll do is I'll set a timer for 15 minutes because otherwise sometimes I'll forget that it's on natural release, and then I'll forget to release the pressure. And if you're doing a dish with vegetables and you forget, then your vegetables will turn out mushy. So I always try to set a timer once I know the pressure cooking starts. And then I add on however minutes of natural release. So if it's quick release, then you don't have to add any minutes. You just set however time is there.
Should we just quick release it?
We'll wait 5 minutes, I think so, because otherwise it might start spewing out, spewing out liquid and stuff.
So my question is, let's say you want to have a lot of Filipino dishes, that you can cook at any moment's notice. Give me the top 5 ingredients a Filipino should always have in their kitchen.
Okay, so soy sauce.
Okay.
I would say soy sauce, patis,
vinegar,
garlic, bay leaf. Bay leaf was one that I use quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it.
I think those are the main. And then this stuff again is I forgot to add it. Okay. You know what? That's funny. I did this last time, so no big deal. once we release
Yeah,
it,
well, because I was like, oh, that was really fast.
you didn't even see it. So yeah, so when it's done, I'll add it because there's a lot of flavor in this part. So yeah. So
Oh,
he
yeah.
took a lot of it, or he took all of it.
And it's like a thick paste, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's so convenient to have because I always like would run out of chicken broth. So this you just add water to it. It's the best thing ever. I love it, and it's organic too. So if you like
This is
organic
about to
things.
die.
Oh no, the battery's about to die. Okay, well we'll figure it out. We'll
All right.
tilt it or whatever. So, are there any other questions from people?
Let me see if I can look at the chat really quick. Oh, we had Show Pal.
What if people have our cookbook? I'd love to hear what their favorite recipes are in the cookbook in the chat.
If you guys have what the viewers have tried already, that'd be great to
If
hear.
there's no question, we can talk about favorite arroscaldo toppings because
Ooh, yes.
toppings we can put into this. So I will bring out my little tray.
I like fried garlic on everything. So.
Okay, so you can get the fried garlic.
Yes.
The fried
So there's
garlic.
this- So you can
Wait,
get.
where'd you get that? It's already fried?
Yeah, my aunt bought it for us from 99 Ranch, I think.
That's why it's almost empty. We
Yeah.
need a refill.
Ooh, I need to go to 99 Ranch.
Well, here you go. Can you see this?
I
Yeah.
can smell it. So
Fried garlic chips.
my calamansi looks a little extra juicy because I kept it in the freezer. So I always have calamansi in the freezer too. I'm a big fan of the freezer, as you can see.
Oh yeah, Jason, you need to give me some calamansi so I can stick them in my freezer. He always has buckets.
Throw it in your water bottle. Green onions from the garden. And then hard-boiled eggs. Lately, I've been drizzling a little bit of sesame oil, and that's really yummy. And then there's chili onion garlic crunch from Trader Joe's or any Asian market has it. This stuff is delicious too.
Yum.
We have all those toppings. So let's see. How many minutes does it say on there? I can't see.
4.
4? Okay, should we release
Yeah,
it?
go for it.
All right, so you're gonna see the valve is still popping up, you'll see. And whenever you start releasing it, like don't use your hand because all the steam is gonna come out and it'll burn it. So always use some kind of applier spoon. And so you're gonna see all that steam.
Okay.
So you never did this part, right, Mary?
No.
Okay. This is called the pressure cooker. This is the pressure.
This is the
I was like,
pressure being-
is it called pressure cooker? Because there's a lot of pressure to cook something in
being
it.
pressure. You're like, what pressure?
So yeah, this is pressure cooking. So we're gonna release it and never put your face over it or anything.
Oh yeah.
And we'll just let it release. So we did it a little early. You're supposed to wait till 10 minutes, but it's fine. So it'll take a minute.
Sometimes if we do have it near the stove, we just turn the hood on.
Oh yeah.
And it vents all the stuff.
Yeah. But don't move it, because as you see, if I moved it, like steam would come out, and yeah, it's a little scary.
Or you can just let it steam and let your house smell like garlic and onions. So
Yeah, that's good.
which is not a bad problem to have.
Do you guys have a YouTube channel? Are you thinking about maybe doing
We've
YouTube?
thought about it. We haven't done it yet. Maybe you can help us with Mary. We're gonna teach Mary how to use the Instant Pot.
We've definitely thought about it.
The commentary.
We thought about it. We've done a few of these cooking demos, which has been really fun.
Yeah. We'll
We've done a couple of live demos as well. We did one at Romeo Chocolates, which is another
that was
small
my-
business,
That's awesome.
small Filipino-owned business in
In
Southern
Long
California, in Long Beach. So
Check
go
it
check them
out.
out.
Yeah.
That was really fun. But yeah, I think we had all these aspirations to do some of this, and then COVID hit. So
Yeah.
it's a little
Yeah,
bit tougher.
we
But
were hoping to hit like the Philippine Independence festivals in June.
yeah, all those festivals.
And yeah.
There's a bunch of, again, 4 of the authors are in the Bay Area. Art and Jeannie, Romeo, and Jamar. His wife also helped out a lot, and their photographer. They're all up in the Bay Area, and they've done events there as well. I think a couple of the guys are doing a demo with UCSD alumni, Filipino, their Filipino club, alumni club, next week, if I'm not
next
mistaken.
weekend.
Yeah, so we're kind of just doing this right now. The book's been really great to have. We did release a ebook a couple months ago.
Yeah, so if you live
uh,
outside of a place where you can't get it delivered at a, good price,
Yeah.
then you can get the ebook as well.
Yeah, we've had a lot of folks who live in the Philippines and all over the world actually are like, hey, can I get the book here?
Yeah, we see people from
It-
Europe
it
and
depends.
London. Yeah.
Some of them will say, oh, I ordered it from Amazon, Australia, and it arrived in the Philippines. So I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Oh, wow.
Women actually had it pretty early on.
Yeah.
But-
Canada, you can get it in Canada. So yeah, this is, now you can see the steam is kind of dwindling down. So this will drop on its own, but if I tap it and it's ready, it will go down. So did you see it go down? Kind of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that means now I can open the lid without, hurting myself, and never put your face again over it. So here we go. Hopefully. Okay.
I'll do the secret.
Oh, and then this is mind blowing to some people sometimes. Is there's this little knob right here, and it holds
Oh,
it. Yeah.
little holder. That's nice.
Yeah, that took me a few months to figure that out. People like, so yeah, you'll see it's still a little bit, it's a little soupier, but it'll all kind of absorb after a few minutes.
You gonna put this in or?
Yeah.
bouillon?
Yeah, we're gonna, oh yeah. Can you get a spoon? So
Yeah.
yeah, let's add in the bouillon that we forgot. No big deal.
Better late than never.
Yeah. Also, we just want to say thank you to Jason and SoCal Filipinos for inviting us to do this demo. Like we never met our co-authors before doing this. We haven't met Jason or you, Mary, in person. So thank you for hosting us. This has been totally fun. We were really excited when Jason approached us and then he told me you were hosting. We're like, what? We're in.
Yeah.
Check her out, guys. Mary Grant. She's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not going to repeat some of the stuff I see there because they're just so good. You have to go check it out yourself.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
So are you guys gonna do like a part 2 or working on any new recipes or what's going on?
No plans yet. However, that is always in our head. So
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes.
yes, the answer is yes, eventually. Not yes.
Because how many recipes does the current book have?
Oh yeah,
100?
so initially we were aiming for 100. And because like I said, we all have small kids and full-time jobs, we ended up with, I think 77 recipes or just over 75. So we did pretty well considering I didn't think we even knew 100 recipes.
I don't know 100 recipes.
Yeah. So this is all.
But yeah, we plan to, maybe make some changes to some of the recipes. Tisha did an awesome ube cheesecake, like everything that's been really popular just in general, right? Ube.
Yes.
Ube. So the ube cheesecake recipe is one of the like cheesecake in general for Instant Pot's been really popular. But there's definitely a lot that we would like to, we'd like to update. There's a few I'd love to put the sinigang ribs recipe in that book.
Yeah.
And then just all the variations again of recipes that are out there. So
All right,
you
let's
see
see
that?
what should we garnish with. Here, you can do
Everything.
the garlic.
I'm watching on my cell phone so I can see the overhead view. I'm like, it
Yeah,
looks so
so
good.
garlic chips. I put this on everything. Just crunch that on top.
Let's see. We'll throw some green onions.
Some green onions.
Oh, this is always fun. My egg slicer.
Oh, Perry Rivera is asking if the sinigang ribs recipe is on the IP website.
I think did we post
Oh,
it? I think
I've done
is.
it. Yeah, I've posted it on.
Yeah.
No, I've posted it on the Facebook group,
The
but
Facebook
not
group. Yeah.
on the book website. So
Got
if you search sinigang ribs, it's there. I've done it a couple
Hi,
times.
Perry. So Perry, we met in the Bay Area, but he lives, I think, in the Valley. He and
Or San Diego. Or
and
Valley.
friends or family drove up to our Bay Area launch. So hey, Perry.
Wow.
They drove up to our book signing. That was
my egg
back
kind of
in
fell apart. It's okay.
that was back in October.
You said the Valley. Okay.
Oh, the
Valley,
Valley,
yes.
yeah. So there it is. My egg kind of fell apart, but it's okay. And then a little calamansi juice. And that's it.
Yeah, I need to learn how to make soft boiled eggs in that.
Oh, yeah. So I
Give me some
usually
tips.
do soft boiled egg, but it wouldn't work with the egg slicer. But I actually prefer it soft boiled because it makes it all creamy. I have one of those little egg steamers from Amazon. They're like $15.
Uh-huh.
And I make hard boiled eggs or soft boiled eggs in that. It's great.
That sounds so much easier.
Yeah. A little salt and pepper. Yay, now dinner's made for everybody.
Awesome. All right, I'll be heading over soon.
All right, come on over.
Oh, bye.
Come hang out.
perfect timing.
Let's see how this
We're gonna eat
tastes.
this as traditional food to watch Dodger games. You know, Dodger. You have your Dodger dog and your Irish caldo, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
it's hot. It's yeah. Be careful because when the food comes out of here, it's really steaming hot. So yeah, and you can kind of see it's thickened up a lot already. It was a little bit soupier earlier. So this looks like the right consistency. Is this how you like it, Mary?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you
with
can't really
tons of
tell that
garlic
there's brown
consistency.
rice in it. That's the beauty of it.
So good.
And then we can pick out the pieces of ginger so Jorell doesn't bite into it.
I'm picking out all the garlic pieces. So, you know,
I'm trying to monitor everything right now.
So what about how about non-Filipino food? Like what's your top go-to recipe non-Filipino
Oh,
food?
that's a good question. So one of my favorite and easiest things ever is to throw in like a box of frozen ravioli,
Mhm.
half a jar to a jar of spaghetti sauce, and a cup. See, I don't measure anything. I'm like one of those people. And like maybe another jar of water. You
Uh-huh.
throw it all in the Instant Pot. You set it for 5 minutes. You walk away. You come back. You release the pressure, and it's like dinner is ready for the family. It's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
so
and then you can
good.
even throw vegetables after you open it because it's so hot. You
Right.
can throw some frozen vegetables in there, and it'll heat it all up, and then dinner's done. So
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
one.
yeah, pasta's really popular.
You said
I
ribs.
love doing ribs, the sinigang ribs, but you know, whatever, find your favorite rib barbecue.
Oh, I do a lot of soups. I'm like into vegetables.
The zuppa toscana from Olive Garden. Oh, that's so good. There's a
Ooh,
recipe out
yeah.
Oh yeah,
for
that's
that.
a good one. I do like
Um,
cauliflower soup, asparagus. Like I do a lot of soups because you just throw in this chicken broth paste again, water, onions, garlic. You just set it for like 5 minutes, and then I come in and I have my little hand blender and I've blended soups.
Wow.
what was your
That's
brother's
so
favorite
good.
recipe?
My brother.
Yeah.
Oh, my brother's favorite recipe is Bicol Express
Oh,
from
Bicol
the
Express.
cookbook.
Yeah, from the cookbook. Was
He's
his.
made it like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
He's like, I think he's obsessed with the pork belly.
Oh, I love pork belly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, pork belly. Anything is.
Yeah, the first time I had pork belly adobo from his aunt, I was like, where has this been all my life?
Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's been good. We'll think about that YouTube channel one of these days if she lets me do it. I don't know anything else.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and tell us, the Facebook page, the website, go ahead and plug so we can all find.
Okay, so we've got the Facebook group, which is the community of people just sharing pictures and recipes. That's Filipino Recipes Instant Pot Community. So you can look that up. It's got 77,000 members. We've got the Filipino Instant Pot Cookbook page on Facebook and on Instagram. What else do we have? So follow us there. Check that out. We love when people post photos of our recipes, not of what they've made from our cookbook on Instagram or on Facebook. We love to share those and see them because we love hearing the feedback of what they think or what they and tweaks that they've done. We're not offended if you tweak it because again, everybody's got their own version of it.
There's a lot of great stories that people have shared on the page. We talked about, where someone will talk about a different type of adobo, and then you just learn about different recipes. Some of the popular posts are where someone will say is, I adopted someone who was who's Filipino, or I'm not Filipino, but I married someone who's Filipino,
and I want to cook dishes
for them. And
they get a lot. They got a lot of love on
really
the
good
group,
feedback.
which is fun.
But that's always been a big thing for the book itself, to be able to share these or learn from our relatives these recipes and pass them on, and have something like that they can actually hold and look at and create as best they can what they've grown up eating. That's always been a big thing. But the group's been great. There's just so much engagement on the site. What else do we need to mention?
We can definitely share all these handles on the SoCal Filipinos page, as well as where to get the shirt. And if anybody wants to order a signed copy of the book directly from us, they can certainly do that.
Yeah, but definitely shout out to everyone at SoCal Filipinos, to you, Mary. You've been awesome here.
And don't forget to support your local Filipino businesses.
Oh yeah, for sure.
During this time, there's a lot of people struggling.
Yeah, because we definitely, especially during this time, we want to support. You pay for a lunch, pay for a dinner, go order.
Or order meals for your first responders and stuff. That was amazing to me, was when everything shut down, seeing all these restaurants like Park's Finest, Bebot, which was in Long Beach, which unfortunately burned down. They're trying to get back up on their feet. And we tried that actually, I think in February.
Yeah.
So check out their websites and support them in any way you can.
Oh, and go vote.
Yes.
Boom. Vote early.
Yes. When you're done celebrating Filipino American History Month, go vote, because you can't complain about anything if you didn't even put your.
Oh, you can bitch all you want. For sure. But yeah, check out the book. Post stuff on the site, ask us questions, and we'd love to do more of these and do different recipes.
Yeah, and hopefully once we can see people again, like we can do in-person demos and whatnot, because that's been like the amazing thing, is being able to connect with people in our community. And like he said, we did something at Romeo Chocolates. We never met him. We showed up at his shop, and he's just an amazing, amazing guy. And he does a lot of work with the community as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, hopefully I want to definitely connect you with Flavor Profiles once they start getting their next.
Yes. Check out that podcast.
Yeah, podcast Flavor Profiles. I'm going to connect them, because we want to hear all the backstory and growing up Filipino. That's all.
I love that. I've listened to, I think, every single one of those podcasts during my.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, Mira, are you a military kid?
I am a military brat. Yes. Yeah. Okay. My dad's Air Force.
Okay.
And I was born in Turkey. We moved to the Philippines when I was 3.
Yep. Clark
Air Force Base.
Yeah. I grew up on a military base in Japan.
Oh wow! Yes.
I thought I saw that about you somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. Cool.
Like, going all over the world and adapting to different cultures.
Were you at Clark when Pinatubo blew up?
No, I was already in the States by then, luckily. But my family, my mom's side is Pampanga, so they were right outside the base. Yeah. They were affected by that. Yeah. So, do you have anything in the near future? Do you have any plans or any other things that they can look forward to immediately?
Not yet, but hopefully maybe we'll do something around the holidays, as the holidays come up. Maybe we should do
October?
Maybe I'll do my sotanghon recipe, because that's what we eat on New Year's. So maybe we'll do that around the holidays or something. That's something my mom always made, so that was a fun one for me to do. Yeah. But we'll be sure to post it on SoCal Filipinos and on all our social media places.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Well, like we said, you guys, we're going to post a bunch of links and stuff of where you can find the book, the shirts, find us. You can find me. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mary Grant the Filipina. You can find me on all platforms.
On everything.
IG, Facebook. I'm not really active on YouTube anymore.
MySpace.
Friendster.
I wasn't Mary Grant the Filipino on MySpace. I was just boring on Mary Grant.
Right.
Yeah, so you can find us. I'd love to see you guys again. If you do anything else in the future, let me know so I can support. I can't wait for this COVID to go away so we can do in-person demos.
That's even better.
Message us when you start cooking in that Instant Pot so we can help you.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. Yes, and thank you once again, Jason, and all you guys over at SoCal Filipinos group. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. But we just want to thank everyone involved in today and everyone for logging on and taking time out of their day. And hope you have a fun rest of the weekend and October for Filipino American History Month.
Yay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, stay safe, everyone.
All right, thank you for all the support.
Bye.
Thank you.
Immigrants. We got the job done. Are we still on? Is this still live? Is it still live? Is it still live?
That was when the bloopers go. It's like the
oh, we're still on. No, now you can see the message.